interesting, then have a chat with Ollie.
Am I done?
Again?
Am I good?
You're done, yeah. Well done, mate. Well done, brilliant. Fantastic. Okay, so on to the next one, sustainably capitalising on the AI revolution. This is not a DTC brand, okay, but it is revolutionary as a business. So big round of applause for Matt Hawkins. He's picking that for the camera. Okay. Even that won't amplify your voice. Trick of the mind.
Yeah, afternoon, everyone. So, yay! Oh, okay. Makes life easier. So, I am happier than that. I think it's just a bad choice of image. Yeah, but to just explain, really, if you look at the cloud industry, 3% of the world's CO2 emissions come from the cloud industry. And you've seen AI, generative AI, you've seen the video production, it's just going through the roof. And the carbon emissions from this industry is just continuing to expand every single year. And it's just not sustainable. So the reason we know this is because we previously founded one of the largest cloud companies in the UK. 1 in 100 of you would have used our services. And there's about 100 here, so maybe one person. But to give you an idea, Vodafone used our infrastructure, Ticketmaster used our infrastructure, a lot of the UK's biggest brands used our infrastructure. And we were guilty of building that infrastructure and unfortunately committing and also building out the CO2 emissions. And to date, that's been quite unavoidable. But it's just not sustainable going forwards. And especially the rate that this market is growing at. It's already 150 billion this year. Actually, in cloud spend is 300 billion this year, and it's going up over 30% every year, and so are the emissions every year. And that's really a problem. So what we've done is we've been working on the technology to actually get round to this. And as well as the problems from that industry, you've also got, from the renewable energy perspective, around 70% of data centers now have access to renewable energy. But being able to get that energy and then keep sustaining and building that renewable energy is a real challenge, and financing that renewable energy is a challenge. So financing these cloud platforms and financing renewable energy is a real challenge, like in these technology and infrastructure businesses and these industries. So we've built the solutions that overcome 2 of these biggest challenges in that place. Firstly, we've built a compute marketplace. And what really that does is we aggregate all the sustainable cloud computing projects around the world and provide it as a big global cloud platform. So to give you an idea, you might have seen in the BBC about 4 weeks ago, there was a server company that's using their servers to heat swimming pools because there's about 5,000 public pools in the UK, and they can't afford to stay open at the moment because of the cost of electricity. So they put these servers on site. The heat from those is actually used to then heat the swimming pool. So the swimming pools get their electricity and their heating for free. The server company gets their cooling for free and gets their space for free. But they're not cloud companies, so they install our software so that we can make that available to the public. We're doing the same in France, in Netherlands, in the US, around the world with these types of projects. And then also we work with renewable energy data center providers around the world so that we can really reduce the carbons down in this industry. And then our other platform that we've built is actually, interestingly, we talked about finance earlier on. So it's a platform halfway between revenue finance and actually inventory finance. Is we've built a platform where you can virtually own this infrastructure. What that does is, if we talk from a renewable energy perspective, you can actually own a solar panel that sits in a solar farm, or you can own part of a wind turbine. What that does for you is these are 20-year contracts. So it gives you a revenue stream for 20 years. You've invested, instead of having to put solar panels on your roof, you can actually more cost effectively help invest into these solar projects. You can get a virtual solar panel in your phone. It shows you how much revenue is generated in the day. It shows you how much electricity was done. It shows you how much CO2 you've saved. And if it's carbon credits eligible, you receive the carbon credits as well. And you can choose to keep them and show, yep, I've done some good on the planet, or you can sell them as well because enterprises want to buy it. But we built the platform that enables both of these in these markets. And that's the 35 trillion. 35 trillion has got to be spent in this industry by the end of this decade if we're basically going to survive as a planet. So it's a huge growth area in that industry. So, and these platforms feed into each other. So we've got our finance platform, we've got our compute platform, and these compute providers, like the swimming pool provider, it takes somewhere between a year and 10 years to get their money back. So they're very capital intensive businesses. So by providing the finance to these companies, we can give access to sustainable cloud computing, and we can help finance the sustainable cloud computing. And then also we have a blockchain, and that blockchain means that we can, all of these technologies are available to the whole of the blockchain industry. And it's still a small industry at the moment, but over the next 5-10 years, that's scaling hugely. To give you an idea, from the value perspective, essentially they're marketplaces with buyers and sellers. From a buyer's perspective, it provides substantial improvements from a carbon perspective, obviously, compared to traditional cloud providers out there. But also, to give you an idea, we're working with projects like an African telecoms company. They've got 20 million users across Africa, where our software is going to be installed on mobile phones to be able to monetize them while they're asleep. And that revenue that comes in can be enough difference between them being able to put food on the table or not. We're doing the same with electric car manufacturers and using the spare computing capacity in the back of an electric car. And that's enough to actually pay off about half your car lease. So these are really big changes from a buyer's perspective. These companies are doing social good. They're not just spending money on another carbon-producing cloud platform. And then from a seller's perspective, we bring in revenue to these sustainable projects. We also bring revenue in to the carbon-neutral platforms or carbon-negative platforms as well. And we bring that revenue forward by many years as well, anything up to 10 years forward. So it means these businesses can expand much faster. They've got the revenue streams that are coming in, and we can increase sustainability that's out there. And then time-wise. So to give you an idea where we are, our last business was acquired. We were doing about 15 million turnover. That was acquired back in 2016. This business was started to basically the industry that we'd sold into for 16 years to make it more sustainable. We did 4.7 million turnover last year. We're on track to do about 17, 18 million turnover this year. And actually, we're expected to do about 60 million turnover next year. And the reason is because we spent 5 years building this tech, building our pipeline. We've got over $100 million of supply on our cloud platform, over $100 million of supply coming onto our token, our marketplace, our funding marketplace. And now we're just signing up. We're just literally just signed up an energy cell company. They're putting $100 million that they want to raise on our platform. So it scales very quickly. And we talked about profit. Then the multiples in this space are about 20 times your profit levels. And we're due to do about 8 million profit this year and about 50 million profit next year if we hit the targets and the pipeline that we've got coming on. So from an advisor's perspective, we've got some of the best advisors in the world. We've actually, if there's any gamers in here, we've got the two prior presidents of Sony PlayStation. They bought everything out from the PlayStation 1 to the PlayStation 5 on our board. Just because PlayStation's the biggest compute network in the world. There's 100 million out there. And they've already had our software working on a version of the PlayStation. So these are our longer term goals. We've also got one of the early investors in Alibaba, Uber, and Lyft. And if all of these three were to have a child, which would be a bit weird, but that's basically what we've built. So that gives you an idea. We've spent the last 4 or 5 years building the technology. We've got the pipeline of customers that are now coming on, and they're starting to scale. And these are very scalable models. So we take somewhere between 10 to 30% between the buyers and sellers on these platforms. And these contracts are up to 20, 25 years. So it's a very scalable business model. So we're doing a £10 million raise. We're about just over 70% the way through that already. If you look at kind of our multiples by the end of the year, if we're doing the 8 million turnover, and that would give us a 20 times multiple, obviously that increases very much because at the moment it's a cap of 45 million on our valuation. So we're scaling very quickly on that side. We've got a lot of investors. They're actually some of the biggest investors in this space. We've got the biggest blockchain investment company in the world in gaming. We've got the biggest storage company in the world. So we've got very strategic advisors and investors across our whole board. Oh, and I've gone too far. But that's it. Yeah, so we're a technology company. If you're interested in this side, we're really doing things that are going to change the world. We're impacting millions of users' lives positively, and we're really reducing carbon that's in the world. So thanks.
Fantastic. Amazing. Another incredible pitch and another incredible business opportunity. So now it's your chance to vote. I've just given you £100,000. Okay, who's going to put some money into Space Goods? About half of you. Who's going to put some money into Cudo? All of you. Wonderful. Well done, Matt. And well done, Ollie, as well. Okay, so if you want to have conversations with them afterwards, please do. It was Pete and Nuno, yeah, at the back. You've got Matt, there you go, and Natalie as well. So if you want to talk about investing into either of those businesses, have a chat with those guys or Matt and Ollie. If you want to talk about fundraising,